Hi, I'm Shay.
No, I'm Shealyn.
And this is Shay's Scary Lounge. Today we're doing for our first episode of the year is going to be Let the Right One In, the Swedish version. So I don't know what you're doing. What?
The hand, like my background.
Oh, what is like a bear? Like what? So, what did you think of this movie?
Well, I had seen it when it first came out. I believe that was 2004.
Something like that.
Is that correct? I remember seeing it probably on like a Netflix DVD or something like that. I don't know. And I liked it.
2008.
Oh, it was way off. Oh, then yes, it wasn't. Okay, you know what? Because I thought in my head right now, I was like 2004. I don't even think Netflix was 2008. Yes, because I was subscribed to the old school Netflix DVDs. I got this movie because I would just pick random horror movies, and I liked it. And I'm not the biggest fan of subtitles because I'm always doing a million things. And there's a gnat coming here. Just ignore that. It's part of.
You ignore it. You're the one who's doing this. Did you get it?
Anyway, probably not. Yeah, I wish I did. But anyway, you mentioned it because you watched it on a whim. I didn't even tell you to watch it, right?
Because I listened to you and you didn't watch this movie.
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't even. This was your idea. You watched
this was mine, yes.
And you've been wanting to record it since
I have.
And I just keep bumping.
You're like, no, let's do this movie.
I'm a diva. But no, I mean, I just like the cheesy, relevant ones like Christmas night. Anyway, but you loved it. You were like,
I did.
Oh my God.
I really did love it. I did. Because it's not your conventional, I mean, okay, so the premise of the movie is this old dude and this young girl, and they're new to the neighborhood, and they move into this like apartment and shut themselves off from the world. But then it's because, as it turns out, she's a vampire. She's like 12 or whatever. And he takes care of her, and he goes and kills people and drains their blood for her or whatever. And it's a very weird relationship, and he kind of doesn't click until the end that you're like, oh, that makes sense now. You know, that's pretty much the premise of it. And so then there's this other outcast little boy there who lives in the apartment, and he's bullied, and he's 12, and he lives with his mom, and his mom is a single mom, and she works and whatever. So he makes friends with the weird girl next door, and
or more than friends. I would say, like, he's like, let's go out, and he's like, be my girlfriend, and I love when she's like, what if I'm not a girl? And he's like, can we go steady anyway?
Right, he's not picking up what she's laying down.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was like open to anything, so maybe
clearly he's a very lonely kid. But she says it like 5 blood. I know she's got blood everywhere. He's like, it's cool.
Yeah,
I just want a friend. But she says that line like 5 times. As what if I'm not a girl?
But I think he thinks she means like maybe she's a little boy because she's kind of like androgynous. So maybe the kid's like, I don't care. Maybe I swing both ways. You know, he's 12. He's figuring himself out. Right. You know.
Okay. So there is a small, very little scene where she's changing like in his apartment or whatever.
Yeah, don't get me
started. And so he peeks and there's a scar.
Yeah, and it's also a little girl's coochie, which is weird.
But it's not, because she used to be a boy.
So that's why the scar is there?
Yes. She was castrated when she became a vampire 200 years ago.
Why is that? Like what?
I don't know why. It was in the book. It was in the book.
I was wondering that. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because I was like, I didn't want to rewind it and look again at the creepy vested
like,
vagina.
I don't want to be creepy.
Yeah, but I was like, it's a very distinct scar.
It is, and it goes by like that. Like if you blink, you miss it.
So that makes sense if it was in the book, and that's why. Because I thought, why do they even have that scene in there? Like that's so perverted and child molester.
I think that they may have edited it to where it explained it, but then they cut those bits out.
Oh yeah,
and like left because it is a blink and you miss it scene, but it's still weird. Where you don't. It is weird.
Yeah, and when I was actually texting with Eric, we brought him up on the show before with a millionaire
as a lifeline. Yes,
he's my lifeline. I was texting back and forth with him, And he was like, yeah, except the original has the weird young girls nude scene, whatever. And I was like, what? I forgot about that. And then I swear that scene happened like as he was texting. I was like, oh no. So I didn't even want to bring it up to him about the scar because I didn't want him to think like, why were you
I
looking
Googled
at that
it afterwards. After I was done with the movie, I Googled it. I was like, what was this? Yeah, that one. So it's in the book. And I was like, interesting. Okay, there we go.
Did you read the book, or are you gonna pretend that you read the book? Did you buy
I carry it with me everywhere. No, I didn't read the book. I don't have the book. I didn't even know it was a book until I Googled it. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, good deal. But then there's also questions about the guy, like, because that's a weird relationship.
Because he's not a vampire, clearly, because he like dies. He pours the acid on his face or whatever.
Yeah.
He was using. Because that's weird too. Like, okay, he's going out and he's draining people for her, like their blood and everything. Right. But I don't know. He didn't like do his homework very well on the people. Like, he's trying to get that kid in the gym, like doesn't know that his friends are waiting for him. Like,
I think he's gotten older and he got sloppy. Yeah. But that's also why he carries the acid. So that way, when he does get caught, and I think he just assumed he would at some point get caught, he douses himself in it.
Oh, I didn't know if he used that to like do something to the victim too.
No, I think he saved it for himself. And that way it was like a protocol. Like if this happens, I'm going to douse myself with acid.
What a
and
weirdo.
Then he does. But I think he did it. So like, think about it. I think he did it so that way he couldn't be connected to her.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's doing the right thing by like, I don't know if she had him in like a trance or they had some weird like I don't get why he was helping her, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so she's 200 years old.
No, I get it, but I mean, like,
he's
why?
not. So I think what it is she would target young, lonely kids, such as the little boy in the movie, because at the end he ends up helping her.
And then they grow that was together. Got it.
Yeah, that's sense. What I was thinking is that maybe he obviously loves her, and so
yeah. Okay,
I think they both started off at 12-ish, looking 12, and he was 12, and then he grew up, and then she was always his companion until he died.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. Because I was like, who's this old dude? Like, what is his deal? Drinking milk at the restaurant, like whatever.
Right. People, and I think that milk also suggests, because as they do in Hollywood, is if you want to suggest someone is innocent or young, they drink milk in the movie. It's supposed to symbolize youth.
Oh, I just thought he had like heartburn or something, or whatever milk helps. I don't know. Like I would go and order a milk. Probably get like a dirty look from the person. Also, it's expensive at a restaurant. It's always like $6 for a glass.
Right. And like the other adults go to talk to him and he was like, don't talk to me.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely but I wouldn't want to talk to them either. Those people suck.
Yeah, they were weird. And then the whole turned the girl into a vampire. So
the cats, what was the cat story? That's a question for you. Like, why
the cats don't like vampires, obviously.
Is that a thing though?
I don't know. I've never heard of that as a thing. Yeah. So I couldn't tell you. But so there's another scene where the girl is talking every night. So she'd go outside, and who lets their kids just go out at night? Like, whatever. So the little boy is sitting outside with a Rubik's Cube, and then the girl comes out and talks to him. And apparently when she's not at her strength, as in hasn't had blood or whatever, she tends to smell like hot garbage, apparently.
That's what I figured. I thought maybe she was exuding some type of pheromones or some weird, in Twilight,
she's dying.
And I hate that I'm referencing that. It's like my vampire guide, but
it's Twilight.
I hate myself, but they have certain things like their eyes will change different colors, and I think hers would too, or maybe I'm imagining it.
I think so too. Yeah, I think they did change colors. You're undead, but clearly you're dead.
Well, and also she probably just didn't shower. Why is she gonna shower and do stuff?
She slept in the bathtub. So
yeah, but not like in water.
no, she slept in the bathtub. So clearly she's not using the shower, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
So like until someone points it out, sometimes like maybe she didn't realize she smelled weird, and then she was like, oh my gosh.
Maybe. I just also think like maybe because she hadn't fed herself.
Yeah.
That's why she was smelling, and she had the bags under her eyes. And so when the kid mentions it, she's like, well, the old dude's not back with my food, so I'm going to go ahead and attack these random ass people.
Yeah.
That are drunk and running down the street. And so she does that, murders one of them, and it doesn't do very good.
Yeah.
Doesn't even try to hide it. She has to say, okay, you need to go hide the body now because I killed somebody. And then he's yelling at her. And
yeah. And then like, yeah, she's sloppy too. I mean, that's because she's had someone do it for her the whole time.
Right. When you have someone do things for you all the time and then you have to do it, you don't know how to do it anymore. You're like, I don't know.
Yeah, she's not very good at assimilating, or like she walks into the hospital barefoot. Like maybe she should wear shoes, like if she doesn't want someone to call CPS or like anything on that old man. Like she should at least wear a coat outside, like you're saying. She's out,
right. I think that also just she's dead clearly because she's a vampire.
No,
they don't feel
she
cold,
doesn't
so
want a red flag. Like you gotta, like I'm saying, you have to like hide that you're a vampire. It's
right. She's not the Cullens, okay? She can't just assimilate to high school and go, I'm just gonna go to school now.
But they took them a long time to figure out,
apparently.
And they matriculate a lot. That's why they're always starting high school so they could stay there.
Right. And then, of course, in this one, they don't just glisten in the sun, they explode. So
I hate it.
Like the woman who was like,
yeah, that was pretty good. That was
a good one.
Like when that happened, I was like, ah.
So the girl bites this woman who's whatever, and so she didn't get to kill her and finish her off, so she ended up turning into a vampire, and she feels sick and nauseous, but then she starts getting her strength back because she's a vampire. So she goes to talk to her friends, and her friend apparently has like 5 million cats. He's like the cat dude of the neighborhood in Sweden, and they all started attacking the shit out of like hard, like they came after her.
Yeah, this is rough.
First of all, she couldn't go into the house. Like she already knew. Like she knew deep down. She was like, I can't go in there. And as it turns out, the reason that they can't go in is because then they just start bleeding from every pore.
If they're not invited. Yeah, you have to. That's like, going back to Lost Boys and everything else, you have to be invited inside.
Right. So she knew she had to be invited in. So the friend was like, come on in. Why are you standing right there? And then the cats were like, and they like charged, and she was like, what the fuck? And then she goes into the hospital, and then it's like, open the window like some sun, and then she like
because she wants to kill herself because she
wanted to die. Yes,
she was gonna either like kill her husband and take his blood. Like she could tell that she had these bad feelings and everything, so she wanted to kill herself.
Right?
She's
apparently
lame.
She was a newbie, so she was going to kill anybody. The 200-year-old little girl vampire, she's been around the block, so she can control herself around people.
It takes a long time, it takes 200 years as a vampire myself.
Until you go to meet a new friend, and they tell you smell like hot trash or a dead corpse, and you're like, I should do something. I get
that sometimes. Yeah, it's just I just have to stay out of the sun.
Stay out of the sun all day. Make sure you have some blood because you don't want to stink. That's really what comes out. That's what I took away with this movie.
Yes. I mean,
eat your vitamins.
Is the one. Well, I mean, somebody will still like you even if you stink. That was the message I took.
Yes. I love when she murders his bullies or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good message, is like, I know you don't like when I advocate violence in any way, but sometimes these kids were bad, and then the older brother was basically trying to kill him by telling him to hold his breath for 3 minutes, and so she basically had to come in and save him in that way. But
this is where I'm like, the kid is not the smartest crayon in the box, because he goes, come here, come and get me. No, you come get me. Get in the pool and come get me.
Yeah,
Because
I thought about that.
just swim up to you so you can dunk my head and drown me. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
Come
thought
get
about
me.
that earlier when like they're at on a field trip to ice skate or something.
Right,
in,
right.
You know, and they're like, oh, there's a hole over this way. And so to me, I'd be like, yo, kid, don't go by the hole with the bullies.
Right.
Like they're gonna push
Right.
you in there. So luckily he ends up hitting the guy. It doesn't happen, but it was also
Right.
like, how about you avoid the hole? Like what?
I'm gonna put that everyone avoid the hole.
Yeah, like the teacher says that. Well, he says avoid the holy or something. Like he doesn't know the word for it or whatever. But I don't know. It's interesting. It's a great, horror movies. They all do that kind of like the kid who's bullied, prevails in the end. But you always get mad if there's violence involved. But
I
clearly
don't get mad
you like
about the
this
violence.
movie, so
I did like this movie. At the end, there was a little like at the end when she murders and like thrashes like the bullies. There's 3 of these kids. So 2 of them are like the little like they're in the background bullies. They're not really like the bully. They're kind of like, we don't want to have anything to do with this, but he's going to kick our ass if we don't be a part of this or whatever. Little cronies in the back.
Yeah.
And so they didn't really want to have a lot to do with it, but they still did it, guilty by association.
Yeah, it was like.
And so then there's the main one who gets his face like bashed in by the kid, and then his brother comes and is like, I'm gonna murder this kid. And I'm like, dude, move on. Everybody needs to fucking move on. Okay. So, but if you pay attention, one of the cronies is still alive.
He's sitting on the bench.
He's sitting on the bench. And so Josh got confused by that. He's like, why didn't she kill him? I was like, he said there were 3 bullies. She killed 3 people.
Got it.
She counted them. She went, okay, he's trying to murder him. I'm going to murder. And then these 2 people here. And he was just sitting on the bench minding business. She's not going to murder people.
I thought maybe he was like I thought he was like the least mean, or like he wasn't actually doing anything, so she let him live. But that makes sense if she like was counting.
Yeah, because he said there was 3 of them, and then she went 1, 2, 3,
and he didn't know like that the older brother was going to be
right. He didn't know the older brother was going to show up. So this kid is like scared to death, sitting on the bench, like, oh my god.
Yeah, but I guarantee he wouldn't bully him anymore.
He's probably not going to bully anyone ever again. He's like, oh my god. Good. Some girl came out of the locker room and killed everybody.
Yeah, and not just killed, like graphic, like cut off heads. I think there's a head goes in. There's like a
head
foot
goes in the water. Foot goes in. Like she demolished that.
Yeah, and she was probably drinking their blood and stuff. So that kid's like messed up forever. Good. That's what he did.
Don't bully people. This is what we've taken away from this. And then the kid gets out and he's like, thanks. Like he's not fazed by that. He's not like, oh my god.
He's like, are we still going out?
He's just like, but we're still going out, right?
That's all he's worried about.
We're together, friends. Right? It's cool.
More than friends.
Right. And then he gets on the train because then his mom is clearly not going to miss him anyway, or whatever. Just takes off, puts her in a suitcase, whatever.
I mean, now it all makes sense. I guess I never really thought about it, but that the other old man was probably a young guy with her at one point. I get it.
See, like at the end, I was like, oh, that makes sense. She just goes through these guys. Like,
yeah.
She'll use them for the 60 years that she has them around, and then they die. And she has to find somebody new. Befriend some other little lonely 12-year-old. Do you have anything else to add about the movie Let the Right One In?
How many
cats?
Cats were so fierce.
They were very fierce. I would say 4 out of 5.
Oh.
Yes, I did. I enjoyed it very much. What about you? How many fierce cats would you give it?
I'm just gonna say 3 out of 5. I mean, it's fine enough to watch. Subtitles really wrote it. Well, no, but it's just kind of like it's slow. Like it's a little like
It is a
we
little
get
slow.
it. It's like I think it's an hour and 52 minutes. It could probably be an hour and a half. But
something like that. Yes.
But no, great story, great plot, great. Just like it's no Scream or anything like that. It's not a classic.
Right.
All right.
Okay, so I think that was good. So follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, like, subscribe, share, hit this button and bell or whatever, get notifications when we put up new videos for the 2022. What are you doing?
Pointing at the little girl.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, she's here right there on top of people, killing somebody. Cool. All right. Well, until next time then. Bye.
Bye.
You can stop doing
Okay,
that.
you're supposed to